one.
How good is
It's
Rico
Guilherme.
tonight?
Guilherme, he's going to take the long shot and go!
Into the back. Coming in. Dos Santos.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Tropical Tidbits, the official podcast of the Florida Tropics Academy. I'm Captain Morgan, and of course, I'm always joined by the president of the club. That would be Mr. Michael Riskin. And we have an awesome guest for you today. The topic is futsal. So before we introduce him, let me just give you a couple of things that this guy has been involved in. It's a pretty lengthy list, so sit back, relax, and here we go. Coach of Ideas Sports over at ESPN Wide World of Sports. Of course, he's a current Tropics Academy coach for the U12 boys as well as the U17 boys. If that wasn't enough, he has dabbled as an assistant coach for Southeastern University. He has been involved as director for United Futsal. Also played 14 years for the Brazilian professional futsal team, as well as the MASL Florida Tropics. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, and of course my friend, Mr. Guilherme dos Santos. We call him Coach Gui. What's up, my man?
What's up, Jared? Thank you for having me. Mike,
Welcome,
thank
Coach.
you. Appreciate the invitation. You're here to talk about futsal and a lot of
We
other
are
things.
absolutely going to be talking about futsal. But before we get into that, I've got to brag on you a little bit. So you're a pretty humble guy, which is why I have to do all the bragging. I had the opportunity this past summer to take my son to Arizona for a United Futsal camp that you were heavily involved in. I knew you were a big deal, but until I went out there and saw people internationally, by the way, invitation only to this camp, the way you were like a celebrity. I couldn't even, I hang with this guy 6-7 days a week. I couldn't get 2 words in because everybody wanted an autograph, wanted a picture, wanted your input. So when I say you're a big deal in the futsal world, it's a fact. Futsal is your passion, which is why I really wanted to kind of get your insight on this, because I think it's a very groundbreaking way to develop youth players, I think. And I could tell you firsthand, you came to me a year ago and tried to convince me to put my son in it, finally said yes, and my mind was blown. So let's just start with the basic. There's a lot of people like me that have no idea what is futsal. So let's give the basics. What is the game of futsal? How is it different than field soccer? And then we'll kind of take it from there.
All right, first, celebrity is too strong. I'm grateful to United Futsal and Rob Andrews. I work with them for 5 years already. And of course, you develop some relationships and everything. And you are able to, most of the people there go basically every year for the camp. So it's easy for them to know me. I was there. So. But I'm happy in that environment. It's a really good environment. You're able to feel that. Futsal is a five-a-side play game. Goalkeeper, 4 players on the field. Tie space, where you need to take more decision making, play fast, think fast, all this kind of stuff. Discover space to play. I think it's the biggest pathway in Brazil where the players are developed more than ever. Most of the biggest players in Brazil start on futsal. And most of the players nowadays start on futsal. Big clubs has like futsal first, and then they move to the field
Soccer.
So
let's talk about the surface. So the surface, it is different. It's not played on grass. It's played on
it's a hard surface. You can play on a wood surface or on a concrete. I play most of the times on concrete. Looks like crazy, but it's really good.
Right.
And that's one of the things that scare most of the people, but the way the ball moves and the way the ball are moving fast make this really good. And the size of the ball is smaller as well.
Okay.
And a little bit heavier than the soccer ball. So help you to develop your shooting, your passing, like stronger pass, more of everything you need to do.
Can I chime in real quick with the size of the ball? Quick story. We did futsal with Anya a few years ago, and I went to go order a ball online, and she had just started 11v11 outdoor. And so I was looking for size 5 futsal ball. Couldn't find it anywhere online. Went to my local Dick's Sporting Goods. I had the manager and myself were searching the store, finding this size 5 futsal. Well, apparently there's no size 5 futsal ball.
That doesn't exist.
It doesn't
Just
exist.
one and done.
There's a size 4. To Guy's point, it's a smaller ball, and so for those of you starting out there in futsal, there's only
It's just
the
one
ball's
ball.
a little smaller.
Yeah,
the
for
size 4.
like younger ages, you have a ball a bit smaller than usual, and then from I think it's the U14 to adult is the same size.
Yeah.
So there's no 5 size or something like that. It's everything the same size.
Well, one thing I love about the sport, because again, I grew up not as a soccer fan. I didn't play. My involvement with soccer, I've been pretty open about it. Is my son's passion for it. So I've been kind of adopted into this world. But futsal was different for me. The pace of the game, the excitement, the control that these players must have because you're in a tight space, you're playing on a hard surface, so everything moves faster, really sucked me in. And I think if you have not witnessed this sport before, if you're a casual fan, it'll make you a super fan. We talk about it all the time. It's a very, very high intensity, exciting game. And I think it tees up extremely well for development, which is kind of what I want to get into. What makes futsal so good at speeding up the development of youth? And I'm talking young kids, like U7, U8, U9, like that age group. And so why is it so important, and what makes futsal such a great gateway?
That's a very good point. I was watching Lucas here the other day with you guys, and he said something about the ball touches. So I might just talk something before we start about numbers. I'm going to give you guys numbers. The futsal player in a futsal game, the player touched the ball at least 300% more than in a regular soccer game.
Wow.
If you are a defender on the field, most of the time you spend time sit on the back, watching the game, and depending who coaches you, the first ball that came, you shoot the ball forward. That's it.
Right.
Futsal can give you the ability and the opportunity to play with this ball all the time. Defender, we call fixo on the positions of futsal. If you guys want to, I can talk later. But the fixo is like the defender. We have one guy in Brazil playing fixo. He scored 52 goals in a season. And he defends really good.
Wow.
But he scored goals as well.
Right.
So you are a defender on the field. If you come to futsal, I guarantee to you, your touch will be better. You're going to touch the ball more. Not feel you are not doing something good enough for your club, for your team, and you have fun for sure.
you have to be way more versatile, right? There's 4v4 in a small space.
Yeah.
The ball's going to find you. I mean,
right.
you cannot hide on that court.
There's no way to hide. There's one thing I talk with the U12 a lot. You need to find a space. So one of the good things I think for futsal, when you transfer this for the field, is you play in a tight space where you need to find space everywhere. You need to be always moving. So on the field, with the big space, most of the kids don't move. They just stay there. They want the ball on their feet, and most of the time they don't receive. So if they understand a little movement on the futsal court, it's a small space, it will be really easy for them to apply the same thing on the big field. So it's not just a thing about the touches is important, but the game in general, what you can get better, it's a complete game. That's what I can say.
No, and I think that, to me, being a parent and watching my own son's development, that was my biggest takeaway from when he started futsal, and now we're about a year in, was it wasn't necessarily his footwork, which is important because that comes naturally, but it's his movement off the ball. It's his scanning ability. Those are the things that I've noticed more than any other skill set that he's developed over this last year. And it's guaranteed a direct reflection of futsal. So going off of movement, off of the ball, and to your point, you can't hide in that sport. So it does expose you. Like there is a discomfort in futsal in the beginning. There is a shell shock factor to field soccer players coming into it. You see it all the time, and we saw it when we would try to bring friends into it. That first experience isn't always the best experience, but once they settle in, it's a highly addictive sport. So what advice do you give to field soccer players that are maybe wanting to try out futsal for their development? I mean, is there a place locally that we can go to? What does that look like?
Yeah, before I say about it, I want to put some things like when you touch more of the soul, like futsal can show you, you have something that nobody do on the field. I can guarantee this for you guys. Because if you see most of the players touch, if you use inside of their foot, if they don't have like a good touch to control the ball is always escaping on their foot and they need to run and try to defend. Sole of the foot is a big secret the futsal can teach you and can give you a lot of more skills than you imagine. 1v1, movement, finishing, whatever you can think, futsal can give to the players. And that's one of the biggest thing. The other thing is if they are looking for futsal to practice, here in Lakeland we have me. Right. Every Wednesdays starting now October 2nd on the St. Joe's Catholic Church. I'll be there with ages from 8 to 11, 12 to 15. So if they are interested, just find a way to find me. I'm going to give you guys the infos.
Yeah, we'll make sure the information is linked in the description. But again, we highly recommend. I cannot say it enough. Because I was a skeptic before. And you know, when we went to St. Joe's, you remember my wife and I, and you were on cement, and we were the helicopter parents, like, oh no, what's going to happen? We can't be doing this. But just take a leap of faith, and that beyond anything else has really developed his game. So let's kind of get into your coaching. While we got you here, you are a Tropics coach. We see each other all the time. One of the things that I have noticed, because on the sidelines and in the parent circles, you're one of the coaches locally that kind of transcends the club experience. And what I mean by that, clubs can be cliquey. We've talked about this and how the atmosphere between clubs sometimes can be contentious. But one thing that I love about you, Coach Gui, is it does not matter where you are in this county or what club you're hanging out with. Everybody knows you. You kind of reach across club aisles because your love of the game and your passion for coaching, it really is infectious. You don't hear anybody talk negative about this guy. So what I want to get into is, what is your passion behind coaching? You've been a pro player, and you're a very good pro player, might I add. If you look at his resume,
you were saying.
No, he's an offensive weapon, but your coaching, you're extremely passionate about it. So what is that driving force behind it? Why do you love developing the youth?
First, my passion from soccer it's very, very old, to be sincere. Since I know myself, me and my cousin in Brazil, since I was like 4 or 5 years old, we did like crazy things for soccer. When I was young, I bought every day a newspaper has a stamp, and after 30 stamps, you win like books talking about soccer. And I read everything. I love soccer history. I love everything about soccer. So with time, while I get a pro player and I start to check some things, I get the passion about it. And I think that's what I'm going to do when I finish my pro career and everything. And youth, it's always my biggest pleasure to work with, because everything starts with these kids. So if you want to build a soccer culture for US, everything starts with the kids. So my way to work as a soccer player, as a soccer coach, is not just show the game and make them understand the game, how much is important for them to control the ball, pass the ball, but I always compare the game, the soccer game, and our life. So you have challenges, you have winnings, we have most of the time, depending on the team you play, of course, you lose more than you win. But we know how many times we fail on life to be where we are right now.
Yeah. We heard Coach Lucas say that a lot on one of our previous podcasts as well. How this translates so well from life, from the field into life, and being able to work with those kids on that.
That's the point that makes all the difference for me, because build about soccer is easy. I always love soccer. I try to share my passion with them, because for you can come here. Everybody can play soccer, right?
Right.
But I want to make them understand that if you are passionate for that, your job or your workout will be much better, and it will be a pleasure to you, not just okay, my dad put me on soccer, I need to go there, run with that kid, and that's it. I want to share what I have to make them in the future, even if they are not soccer players or play for college or whatever, that passion can go to another part of their life and make them understand, oh, coach told me that once and he was so passionate for that. So if I do this thing that I like to do with the same passion, maybe I'll be successful in that. So that's the reason why I try to be always show them the passion, try to be always intense with them, talk with them. I always tell the kids, especially the U12, the 17s are kind of harder, but the U12,
set in their ways.
Right.
I tell them, look, I will be always pushing guys. But at the same time, I'm here for you guys all the time. So whatever you feel, if you're not feeling good, tell me. If you're not feeling confident, tell me. We find a way to make you feel better and comfortable and confident, and you go and you do your best. Doesn't matter if you make a mistake or not. That's the reason we are here. So everything comes from the beginning of everything with soccer. So.
No, man. Well, the Tropics are blessed to have you, my friend. But get into the differences between the U12 and U17. So it's a very different coaching style, I would imagine. I mean, because that age group, there's different distractions for each. I think the U12, the parents are probably the bigger distraction. The U17, it might be jobs, it might be girls, cars, whatever, school.
Yeah.
You never know if they're going to even show up for practice.
Right.
Yeah, right now, I'm with this group. Basically, I think I have most of the players in the U17 group since the first season I work with the Tropics. It's my third season with them. They understand me really good, so they know how much I'm going to push them hard. But the difference right now, I don't see too much parents on the practice.
Right.
They are always driving their own cars, and
right.
If they need to tell me something, it's not the dad or the mom text me, it's them text me, Coach, I'll be late. Coach, I cannot do this. Coach, I'm working today, I cannot be in the practice. And I understand everything. That's great. The things that make me more concerned with them, and for me is the hardest thing, I think talking about boys. I coach girls as well, but talking about boys, they think they know everything. Hey, you're supposed to pass the ball. If you don't, why don't you make this pass? No, coach, but I prefer to pass this way. Okay, but do the way I'm telling you to do. Okay, see, much better. But I prefer my way. Okay, whatever you want. But this is the only difference, I think, because they grow up, like these players playing with me 3 seasons, they know what I want. They know what to do to make me happy, so I'm satisfied. But the U12 is easier because we are developing something from the beginning, from then.
Right.
Most of the players from the U12 start first with Drew on the first season.
Yes.
And then last season they started with me playing like the second, most of them playing this season, the second season of competitive, and finding the way I like to work. But at the same time, understanding that I want them to grow up and improve, and they are allowed to make mistakes. Mistake will not be a problem. Sometimes I tell them, look, if you do a mistake here, I'll be a kind mad with you. But it's normal, okay? If you make a mistake, we fix it the next one. Keep going. And then understand that. So I think since last season that we start to play together, these kids improve so much. They are moving the ball better. They are moving themselves better. They are finishing more. They are a fanatic about shooting.
Yes, he is.
So...
yeah, Guy does a great job with even the community of coaching shooting clinics and teaching a lot of the folks in the community how to shoot. I can tell you for my Coach Lucas, we spoke about being aggressive on defense and moving toward the ball. Well, if Guy's about to shoot, I'm not.
You out of the way. Yeah.
I do not want to get in front of Guy's shot.
Yeah. No, and that's been cool. I've had a front row seat to that development, and it's and everything's describing. It's pretty cool because the neat thing about you, Coach, is you'll take the development over the win any day, and he talks about it all the time. Is where did we start? Where did we finish? You know, the W's are nice. Trust me, we enjoy the W's, but they are not the end all be all in your world, and it really is about developing them as players. And I'm excited to see where you take the team this year. But we're going to wrap it up right there. Most importantly, futsal Wednesday starting October 2nd with this guy. We'll post a link in the description if you want to check it out. I highly encourage you should. It's mind-boggling how quickly you can develop if you really take advantage of futsal in your repertoire. And as always, a big thank you to CPS Investment Advisors for this studio space. We cannot do this without them. They are one of our main sponsors. This has been your Tropical Tidbits. We are the Florida Tropics Academy, and we can't wait to see you on our next episode.